Me and Corey both did UGA mock trial here and had a great time with it. I was a witness in the first trial, so I'm judge for this round. Corey is filling in as one of the empty witness roles in this round, so he judged the morning round. Basically during the week, I don't know what information you've gotten from your kids about what's been going on. We gave them an entire packet of a court case, including witness statements, evidence, the law, case law, rules, stipulations, all the legal documents, everything like that. The same kind of case that we get for our trials, and they wrote all of the materials themselves. So the opening and closing statements, the direct examinations, the cross-examinations, everything you're going to see today, they wrote. We don't give them a script. They write the script themselves. They all did a great job this week. This is my first time teaching this camp. This is Corey's second time. He can introduce himself.
Corey Anderson. I'm Corey Anderson. I was the other instructor this week for your lovely, lovely mock trial children. We got some great attorneys and legal minds here in this room that y'all are going to see them come out this week. I am I just graduated from the University of Georgia here with a degree in political science, and I will be starting at the University of Arkansas Law School August. So this is kind of one last big hurrah for UGA mock trial for me, and I'm really excited to have your kids this summer for as long as I have, and to see them grow and all this kind of legal stuff that we threw out of this week, and to kind of take it in stride. And you're going to see it definitely come out in trial today.
So for us, when we normally get this case, we have 3 or 4 months to prepare. Your kids had a week, and they've completed all of the materials to be able to put on this trial. So I'm really excited about that. A basic background of the case, if you don't know, this case is the state of Iowa versus Alan Funt. Alan Funt is a film director of a sort of candid camera prank video company who is being accused of causing the death of a woman, Charlene Baskerville, who died
A heart-related incident.
of a heart-related incident that is being discussed in court today. So you'll hear more about it, but that's just a general idea of what's going on. Each side will be calling a doctor to talk about it, a few of the eyewitnesses, the film director, the actor involved, the deceased's daughter, and the police investigator who investigated the scene are all going to be called today. So I think that's it. So if you guys, if the film people are ready, then I think we're good to go. Okay. So the case of the state of Iowa versus Alan Funt. This case is now in session. Prosecution, would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Mackenzie White, and my co-counsels are
Sarah Grace Wilhoit
and Rosh Brown. And we represent the prosecution in today's case.
Friends, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Kaya Wiggins, and this is my co-counsel, Blair Wilhoit and Mark Corso. We are the defense in today's case, and we represent Alan Funt.
All right. Now, we're going to move on to opening statements. So, prosecution, do you have an opening statement?
Yes. May it please the court, opposing counsel, and members of the jury. Art is not worth the sacrifice. Alan Funt's art has caused death, injuries, and emotional distress to many people. Ms. Funt is a movie producer and creates dangerous stunts to scare people. One of her more reckless and unsafe stunts took place in a fake elevator. That elevator is where the death of Charlene Baskerville took place. It was a death that Alan Funt could have prevented. This case also involves one of her other stunts that took place on May 11th, the zombie chase. It connects the elevator stunt and provides many details for this trial. Alan Funt made the zombie chase occur in an alley, and the zombie actors caused Devin Baskerville to break his ankle. Ms. Funt refused to pay for Ms. Baskerville's medical bills, and she never tried to get in touch with the Baskervilles until an email was sent to Charlene Baskerville stating that there was a meeting being held for Funt and the Baskervilles to settle their issue outside of court. On July 22nd, Alan Funt planned to prank the Baskervilles by using a fake elevator. The elevator would shake violently and the lights would shut off, while a ghost would sneak into the stunt elevator and scare the victims. All Devin Baskerville wanted was to be able to settle her issue with Ms. Funt fairly outside of court, but she was dragged into another prank. The stunt was so cruel and scary that it caused Charlene Baskerville to die of frightening stimuli. Devin Baskerville is a major witness in this trial. She has lost her mother in one of Miss Funt's pranks. Now she has to live motherless along with the struggle of raising a young sibling. Another important witness in this case is the police officer who investigated the zombie chase, along with the fake elevator stunt, Officer Lee Strad. He has had past experiences in the Army and has been an investigating officer for 12 years. Officer Strad has had multiple encounters with Miss Funt, and he has always warned Alan Funt that one day her stunts would go very wrong. Our last expert witness, Dr. Drew Watson, is a heart doctor, and he certified Charlene Baskerville's autopsy report. Dr. Watson provides support for Miss Baskerville's heart attack in the elevator. Miss Funt is being charged with involuntary manslaughter of Charlene Baskerville. In order to prove this, we will show that Alan Funt acted recklessly and intentionally, set up a situation that would cause Miss Baskerville an injury or harm. Miss Funt's art is not worth the sacrifice of a life. At the end of today's trial, my co-counsel, Mr. Raj Parekh, will come before you and ask for a verdict of guilty.
Thank you. Defense, do you have an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court, opposing counsel, and members of the jury. Accidents happen. On July 2nd, Charlene Baskerville died at my client Alan Funt's studio because of an adrenaline rush to her heart as a result of too much frightening stimuli. Miss Baskerville walked into Miss Funt's studio with her daughter at 10 a.m. on that July morning. They both stepped into a phony elevator to go to the 3rd floor and meet with Miss Funt about a previous prank in which Devin Baskerville, the daughter of the deceased, fell and broke her ankle. The elevator was also set up to be a prank. Once inside the elevator, the Baskervilles thought they were going up when the elevator started to shake and the lights went out. Then, Ashton Michael, who was an actor involved in Miss Funt's pranks, came out from a hidden door dressed as a ghostly figure in an attempt to scare anyone who came into the elevator. When Miss Baskerville saw the ghost, she fell to the ground and appeared to have fainted. When Miss Baskerville realized that her mother was on the ground and not breathing, she started to call for help. Mr. Michael then stopped the prank and started to do CPR on Miss Baskerville. Miss Funt, who was watching from a hidden camera in another room, then stopped the elevator and ran to help Miss Baskerville. Miss Funt may be on trial today for involuntary manslaughter, but what really happened was just a tragic accident. Today, you will hear from 3 witnesses to help the defense prove that accidents can happen. First will be Mr. Ashton Michael, who was an actor involved in all of Miss Funt's pranks. Then we will call Miss Alan Funt, the defendant and owner of the film company, Fear Factory Industries. She has dedicated her entire life to her films and is very passionate about her art. Finally, we will call Miss Alberta Milgram, an expert psychologist who specializes in the culture of fear and will give an insight to what really happened to the deceased from a doctor's point of view. Miss Funt is being charged with involuntary manslaughter of Miss Charlene Baskerville. We will show you that the prosecution will fail to prove Miss Funt guilty of involuntary manslaughter because she is not responsible for the unfortunate and tragic death of Miss Baskerville. Members of the jury, it is important to remember that the accidents can happen and sometimes no one is to blame. At the end of today's trial, my co-counsel, Ms. Will Hoyt, will come before you and ask for the only just verdict, not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the prosecution's case in chief. Prosecution, would you like to call your first witness?
Yes. I'd like to call Devin Baskerville.
Ms. Baskerville, I'll remind you that you've been previously sworn in.
So please introduce yourself.
My name is Devin Baskerville and I'm 22 years old.
Tell us about your family. Are you close with them?
I have a 6-year-old sister that we adopted a few years ago. She will now have to grow up without a motherly figure. I will continue to raise her because I love her and want the best for her future. My mother, sister, and I were a very close family. Since her death, we will now grow up as orphans.
How is your relationship with your mother?
My mother and I had a great relationship. We had always been very close and I have been very protective of her for as long as I can remember. I depended on her for my whole life. I just wish I could have helped her in the elevator.
So you just graduated from college. What are your plans for the world now?
I would love to be a therapist for other children or young adults who have lost a parent or family member. I feel like I can relate to other children who have lost someone close to them. My younger sister inspires me to help others who have to live with a lost loved one. The death of a family member can be very devastating for anyone, especially children.
So moving on to some of your encounters with Alan Funt. Have you had any past experiences with Alan Funt?
We have met on multiple occasions, unfortunately. The first time we met, we stumbled upon another one of her prank scenes. She had advertised a sale, and my mother and I went towards the alley where the sale was advertised. As we were walking down the alley, we saw what appeared to be zombies. The zombies were chasing us and making disturbing noises to scare us.
Did anything else happen that day?
Yes, the zombies were surprisingly fast, so I was glad that my mother and I got away from them. But we were frightened, and as soon as we got to the end of the alley, I slipped off the curb and severely broke my ankle.
What happened after you broke your ankle?
Everyone started laughing, and we realized we had just been victims of one of Alan Funt's sick pranks. It is ridiculous that there have been devastating long-term injuries in Funt's pranks, and she never even takes responsibility for them. Alan Funt never paid for any of my medical bills.
What happened after the zombie chase? Did Alan contact you after your injury?
There was a meeting arranged with my mother and I to discuss the broken ankle and medical bills. Alan emailed my mother and told her that we should come to her office so that we could meet. We never did get to discuss the matter because she just had to get the last laugh and pull another prank on my mother and me.
Elaborate on your run-in with Alan Funt on the day of your mother's death.
We were invited to Alan Funt's office on June 2nd to discuss the settlement in July. When we arrived in the lobby, we saw stairs and elevators. I couldn't go up the stairs because of my ankle, so we went to the elevators. The elevators had an out of order signs on them, so I went to the one that was working.
Did you take the stairs even though your foot is still injured?
No, we got in what looked like a working elevator, but it turned out to be a fake elevator where we were pranked. When we got into the elevator, the lights went out and the elevator started to shake and vibrate violently. Then the lights got dim and a ghostly figure appeared. My mother and I were very scared, and that's when she crumbled to the floor.
What were your thoughts after your mother collapsed?
When she first collapsed, I thought she had only fainted, but I later realized that she had passed away because she was no longer breathing. I was looking around the scene and noticed that the officer that had looked into my ankle injury had come to the scene of my mother's death. I guess it was just to talk to some of the bystanders.
Did anyone else look familiar at the scene?
I also saw Mrs. Funt talking on the phone with someone. I don't know who it was, but it looked very important to her. That didn't matter, though. I mean, how could she talk on the phone after she had just caused my mother's death?
How did you feel after you found out that it was all just a prank?
I was not too surprised since we were dealing with Alan Funt, but I never knew she would go as far as killing someone. Her so-called art should not have to have a sacrifice. My mother died for someone else's entertainment. No art is worth the sacrifice of an innocent person's life, such as my mother.
Thank you. No more questions.
Cross-examination.
Defense, get cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Baskerville, I realize that this is a very difficult subject for you to discuss, so if at any time you need a moment, please feel free to let me know. You can find the statement for Ms. Baskerville on pages 16 through 20. First, let's discuss your zombie chase. You hurt your ankle falling off a curb just outside the alley where you were chased, correct?
Yes.
But you were never tripped, pushed, tackled, or touched in any way by any of the actors, correct?
They didn't touch us, but they did chase us.
But they never touched you.
Correct.
So you fell completely on your own,
Because they were chasing us.
but completely on your own.
I guess, yes.
In your direct examination, you said that Ms. Baskerville Ms. Funt never offered to pay your medical bills, but in your statement, you said that she offered, but you weren't having any of it. Is that true?
We arranged a meeting with her to discuss the payment.
But she did offer to pay, correct?
We never had the meeting.
Okay. Now I'd like to direct your attention back to Ms. Baskerville. You were pretty upset about your mother's passing, correct?
Yes, I would imagine anyone would be if their mother died.
So you would say you were not very happy, even angry about the whole situation.
Yes.
Would you say that Ms. Funt was responsible for the whole situation, your mother's death?
She is the one that set up the prank, so yes.
So you would do anything to avenge your mother's death?
Could you rephrase the question?
You want justice, and you would do anything to get justice for your mother?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Be excused. Prosecution, call our next witness.
I would like to call Officer Lee Stroud to the stand.
Officer Stroud, I'll remind you, you've been previously sworn.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Hello, my name is Officer Lee Strad.
Officer, what are you doing for a living?
I am an investigating officer with the Des Moines Police Department, or DMPD, for 12 years now.
What are your specialties as an investigative officer?
As part of my daily duties with the DMPD, I routinely investigate reports on vandalism, burglary, criminal mischief, etc. Also, on an occasion, I investigate suspicious deaths.
Have you ever had any past occupations?
Prior to attending the police academy in 2001, I served in the U.S. Army for 8 years.
I wanted to change gears and talk to you about when you first arrived at the crime scene. Officer, how are you involved in this specific case?
I was the investigative officer at the crime.
As soon as you arrived at the crime scene, where did you see the body of Miss Baskerville?
When I arrived, I first spoke with a paramedic team at the site. They indicated the deceased was found in a chamber made by Miss Allen Funt. My cursory investigation indicated that there were no visible wounds or physical trauma.
Did you get a chance to interview or talk to anybody there?
I got a chance to talk to 3 bystanders and interviewed Devin Baskerville, the daughter of Miss Baskerville.
Did you notice anybody there familiar?
Yes, I had met Miss Devin Baskerville before at another crime which resulted in severely broken ankle. It was another one of Miss Allen Funt's pranks.
Was there a room where the prank was viewed and recorded?
Funt was able to see everything from a small control room in the lobby.
What is your opinion on Alan Funt and his videos in the crime?
Clearly in my mind, Miss Allen Funt was absolutely responsible for the death of Charlene Baskerville. I've issued countless warnings that this would happen someday, but she ignored it all.
Do you think that his art was worth a sacrifice?
No, his pieces of art are life-threatening and not safe.
Thank you, Officer Strack. Your Honor, I have no further questions to ask.
Okay. Cross-examination from the defense.
You are an investigating officer with the Des Moines Police Department, correct?
Yes.
And you routinely investigate reports of vandalism, burglary, and criminal mischief?
Yes.
And you only occasionally investigate suspicious deaths, is that correct?
Yes.
Despite the fact that you rarely investigate deaths, you were called to investigate this one.
Well, because I was called at 10, somewhere around 10 o'clock to 10:40.
So yes.
Yes.
You describe Alan Funt was arrogant and egotistical, is that right?
Yes.
So even before the incident, you didn't like her, correct?
No. Yes. I've spoken to her about these pranks and that since Devin Baskerville had a broken ankle in one of his pranks, and now it's gotten worse since there was a death involved.
You immediately assumed after the incident that Alan Funt was behind it because of your previous experiences,
Yes.
right?
I've spoken to him about stuff of life-threatening things.
And even though you assumed Alan Funt was responsible, you still didn't know what to charge her with, correct?
Yes, but I still arrested her.
You had to take a few days to find a reason to arrest Alan Funt.
Yes.
You had to consult with your captain.
Yes. And also I had to find a little bit more evidence at the crime scene as well.
And you had to consult with the county attorney's office to figure out what to charge Miss Funt with, is that right?
Yes.
And now that you finally found a reason, you arrested Alan Funt.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Officer Strada, step down. Prosecution, would you like to call your last witness?
I would like to call Dr. Drew Watson to the stand, please.
Dr. Watson, I'll remind you that you've been previously sworn.
State your name, please.
My name is Dr. Drew Watson.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a cardiologist. I'm 39 years old with 2 beautiful daughters, Miami and Anna. They are 8 and 12. I also been married for 15 years. I love to spend time with my family and teaching young adults that would like to become a cardiologist once they get their degree.
What made you want to become a cardiologist?
Well, when I was younger, my mom used to have a heart problem, but my family didn't have a surgeon or money to help her. She died when I was only 14 years old, and I was left to take care of my 2 younger siblings. Once I lost my mother, I decided that I wanted to go to college and study cardiology so I could help people that had heart problems. I started to cut grass and got a job at McDonald's to earn some money so I could provide for my family. I finished high school with a 4.0 GPA and was able to go to college on a full scholarship.
What college did you attend?
I attended Drake University Medical School and Harvard University.
Where does your background training come from?
My background and training come from the cardiology.
How long have you been researching cardiology?
I've been researching it for 12 years.
What year did you graduate from medical school?
I graduated in 2003.
I understand that you are an expert witness and received your degree from Tabara University. What states are you licensed to be a medical doctor in?
I'm licensed in Iowa and Massachusetts.
I would now like to direct your attention to what you have to do with the case. What do you have to do with the case?
I was called to investigate Charlene Baskerville's heart after she died.
Have you encountered the Baskervilles before the crime?
No, I have not encountered the Baskerville's crime before the crime.
How many more years do you believe Miss Baskerville had left in her life expectancy?
She had at least 20 years.
What do you know about Miss Baskerville's symptoms?
I believe it's a fight or flight situation. I also believe that people who feel trapped experience this capture myopathy. The same way that animals do. The body pumps out the same cocktail of drugs that in the short term gives muscles a burst of energy, but in the long run or when overdone simply rips them apart. The stress continues without abatement and the body is just shuts down. And the person can be scared to death, literally.
Do you enjoy watching Fun's films? Why or why not?
No, I don't enjoy watching Fun's film because it's a sick prank and I don't think it's funny or fair that someone gets injured for someone else's pleasure.
Do you believe that art is worth the sacrifice?
I don't believe that art is worth the sacrifice.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination from the defense.
Would you consider yourself an experienced cardiologist?
Yes, I would.
You work as the director of the Russell Godkin Cardiomyopathy at Drake University, correct?
Yes.
Do you have first-hand knowledge of stress cardiomyopathy or Takotsubo syndrome?
Yes.
Do you know how to help people with broken heart syndrome?
Yeah.
So is the reason for Miss Baskerville's death that there was too much adrenaline in her heart?
Yeah, I believe so.
Is it true that there aren't any symptoms that Miss Baskerville would have had before her death?
Nope.
So there is no way to know when the Takotsubo syndrome will occur?
I would not know. I mean, I would know, but, you know.
Okay, so that's I know, right?
Maybe, yeah.
So, would you say that the syndrome could be triggered by any other emotion, not including being frightened?
Well, it's triggered by fright, and so that's the only thing that was happening on that day. So
would you say it could be triggered by happiness?
it could be, but it was triggered by fear by Alan's Fun prank.
So do you know how to determine whether someone has stress cardiomyopathy?
Yes.
You examined the body, correct?
I didn't examine the body. They just called me to check out, not check out the body, but they just called me for some, things.
So how do you know that the examination of the body shows that the patient shows signs of stress cardiomyopathy?
Well, the fear in her body just made the adrenaline go up, which causes the stress in the body when you're old. So it goes faster.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. No questions on cross, you be excused. With that, the prosecution will end their case in chief. We'll take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 1:30 or so.